May it be Discovery, Animal Planet, or any other wildlife TV channel that you've watched in your childhood, Steve Irwin was everywhere. A man who was known for developing love for animals in the hearts of millions of children around the world. He was an icon known for his unmatchable chemistry with animals, and in particular with the crocodiles. A man of absolute courage and determination, putting his hands into the mouths of crocodiles, exploring the heart of the great Amazon forest, sleeping around the deadliest of snakes. He was an all-in-one personality. Unfortunately, it was his love and passion which led to his tragic death, a death which no one could have ever imagined. Wandering through different parts of the world to encounter some of the lethal animals on the planet, who knew that his documentary, Ocean's Deadliest, would be his last? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. We'll cover the complete story of how Steve Irwin became a TV sensation for his wildlife documentaries and conservation. Stay with us until the end to know what brought about his untimely death, leaving millions of fans bereaved. Steve Irwin was born in the family of conservationists. His parents were known for running a reptile park in Queensland. During his early years of life, his parents were his mentors and they were the reason he fell in love with animals. Handling reptiles wasn't really a problem for young Steve, though it was a happy addition to his life. It would be a slow progression towards the tragic end that would claim his life at 44. The early life of Steve was a core reason that he had a reckless career, where he had multiple encounters with the deadliest animals on different continents. All this was to highlight the issues that the endangered wildlife faced. Sometimes his valor crossed the line of normality, and viewers criticized him for showmanship. The young Irwin had a love for adventure, and he accompanied his father on expeditions to catch lizards, crocodiles, and venomous snakes. His father was part of the East Coast Crocodile Management Program, which was a government-sponsored project. The project aimed at the conservation of crocodiles from being hunted. The conservationists would shift them to sanctuaries or less populated areas. He first attempted to subdue a crocodile by jumping on its back. This was the point of no return for his endless bold attempts. His experience and adeptness grew with time, emboldening him further. It was in the early 1980s when Irwin began looking at making a career in croc catching. He began working for a croc management program of his own. In this project, he made a wild reputation for his adeptness in croc catching. He caught some of the largest and the most dangerous crocodiles, earning him the title of Crocodile Hunter. In 1991, Irwin took over the management of Irwin Park from his father. This was the year that he met his future wife, Terry Raines, an American conservationist.
Was sold. I thought this man is the most incredible guy I have ever seen.
When I saw Terry in the crowd, I looked up and our eyes met. And my heart just went bang, 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 bang.
Later, they got married in 1992 when she participated in managing his programs directly. The couple had 2 children, namely Robert Irwin and Bindi Irwin. He used to record these exploits using a video camera, which was a great skill to do so. If he never started doing it, we wouldn't be talking about him in the past tense today. He showed his work to a producer on Channel 10 Australia. The suggestion was to turn them into a documentary. The result was amazing, and it turned into a 10-hour program. This program was aired in 1992 when named The Crocodile Hunter. It was the enormous response to this program that led to a regular series of adventures. Irwin recorded programs in and out of Australia for this series. Another success was his program being picked up by Discovery Channel in 1996. Eerie hobbies and fascinations have eerie endings. The viewership of Steve Irwin's program had reached more than 100 countries, where it was broadcasted regularly, and increasing viewership motivated him to go on even more difficult adventures. Irwin had an infectious excitement for wildlife conservation, and it often amazed his fans. He was of the view that excitement could help the work going, and it wasn't possible if one wasn't passionate. He believed that if the programs didn't excite the viewers, then the conservation work wouldn't be possible due to a lack of public interest. Steve Irwin's final adventure began on September 4, 2006, when he set out to film a documentary, Ocean's Deadliest. The name of the documentary would prove to be something remembered for years in wildlife conservation history. The documentary was filmed near the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. He was co-hosting this documentary with another colleague. The weather wasn't very favorable, and they weren't able to take shots as intended, but Steve decided to utilize the moment and see the wonders of the ocean, as he was one of those persons who never wanted to miss out on a moment where he could make history. It was in one of these moments that Steve wanted to shoot some engaging clips for the documentary, but God had other plans for him that day, and who knew that he would never come back to shore alive? He was accompanied by Justin Leon, who was working as his cameraman. Steve dived into the sea to get shots for Bindi the Jungle Girl, the documentary that his daughter intended to present. As the day was about to end, just like Steve's nearing death, he began to follow a stingray, a creature that's usually very calm and doesn't attack until it detects an imminent threat. It was in the shallow waters, and the crew, including Steve, were enjoying their time. He had plans to capture footage until the stingray left the scene. He had a misunderstanding regarding the stingray and had no idea whether it was venomous or non-venomous. He took it for the non-venomous kind, which in fact was a big mistake. When Steve Irwin began following it, it didn't seem to be threatening. However, the stingray saw him as a threat. For those who don't know, a stingray has a 2-meter wide body with barbs that could be used to hurt the attacker. These animals are considered non-aggressive, and this was the reason that Steve Irwin was following it from such a close distance. What made the situation worse was a wrong judgment from Steve, who felt like a tiger shark to the stingray. As Steve was following it, stingray was getting angrier, resulting in the unleashing of several barbs. It took the stingray a few seconds to attack Steve multiple times. It was unbelievable for Justin Leon. He wasn't expecting the stingray to launch dozens of attacks on Steve in a matter of seconds. As these attacks continued, Steve could do nothing to defend himself against the attacks. A barb released by the stingray proved fatal and hit him in the chest. All of a sudden, the camera crew saw a pool of blood. The painful moments were being captured still on the camera. As his friend and colleague Tommy Donovan recalled, Steve wanted to record whatever the situation. He told Tommy that if he needed help in an unpleasant situation, he would ask for it, but the recording should never stop. He instructed Tommy that even if the situation worsened, like being eaten by a croc or an animal, he wanted the event to be filmed. With years of experience, expertise, and so much fame, no one had a single thought that this event would ever take place. The only witness to the events was Leon, whose camera captured the events that took place. As the waters were chest deep, there was no harm anticipated, but the sudden turn of events would change the history of Bat Reef forever. Leons wasn't aware of the severity of the attack. Then the pool of blood shocked him. He rushed towards Steve to get him to safety. He intended to take him to a boat, but the venom from Barb had caused unimaginable damage. Steve thought that it had punctured his lungs, but instead it had hit his heart, causing a gash 2 inches deep. The crew made all the necessary efforts to save his life, but they were of no use as the attack from the stingray was brutal. The venom had spread to his body while his blood was also rushing out of his body due to the injury. The crew, including Leon, made every effort to save the crocodile hunter. They performed CPR, but the situation continued to worsen. They did whatever was in their hands to control the situation, but when they realized that the situation was dire, they took him to Cairn Base Hospital. Leon remembered the final moments when he continued to encourage Irwin to hang on. He tried to give him hope by reminding him of his family and mission, but it didn't work, as the doctors declared him deceased upon arrival. The legendary crocodile hunter was no more. The man who claimed to have survived attacks from crocodiles and venomous snakes had fallen to a stingray. Such is the irony of fate. People all around the world were shunned from this news. They were used to watching the great Steve Irwin befriend animals like no other could. It was hard to digest that those animals that he loved the most took his life. The sad part is that this is one of the few known human deaths caused by stingrays. In fact, it was the second death in Australia by a stingray. People say that you start to realize when death is near and you start taking actions that you never did, and the same might have happened to Steve Irwin. A few days before the trip to the Great Barrier Reef, he made a speech to his staff. It seemed like a farewell speech from a larger-than-life figure. He reminded them of the collective cause and the mission that they had to accomplish. Fast forward, he had reminded his crew to continue filming despite the situation. The same happened, and his cameraman Justin Leon continued to film him following, unaware of what was about to happen. Every single minor detail of the gory events had been filmed. The death tape, as it's often referred as, documented the details that helped the police officials get to the basics of what had happened. Some even claimed that Justin Leon recorded the final words from Steve on the tape, which were, "I'm dying, Though the initial parts of the tape were used in the documentary as intended, the other parts were never released to the public. His family's decision regarding the secrecy of the tape has been respected, and it hasn't seen any studio or other platform yet. As often referred to as the death tape, Steve Irwin's final moments were caught on camera. The tape was handed over to authorities so that a smooth investigation to establish the cause of death was possible. Justin Leon was one of the few people who watched the video, and he regretted watching it. In an interview, he said that it was a horrible experience and he wouldn't watch it ever again. The authorities used the video proof to establish the cause of death and closed the investigation. After that, the tape was returned to the company Discovery Communications, which was working on the documentary Ocean's Deadliest. The company decided that the final footage wouldn't be broadcast ever, respecting his family's wishes. Not only that, but the producer said that it was too horrible to be shown on TV. Those who had watched it at the studio wished to never see it again. Such was the horror of the events that had taken place. It was announced in 2007 by authorities that all copies of the death tape had been destroyed except one, which was given to Steve's widow, Terry. She said that she had destroyed it because she had no intentions to watch it. Though there are rumors about a possible copy of the video, there is no evidence regarding it. Terry is of the few that there is a possibility of a copy in police vaults somewhere. A fake video was released on YouTube to create a sensation about Steve's death, but his wife revealed it wasn't original in an interview in 2018. The authorities, Steve's close friends and family, have made sure that the copy doesn't see the light of day. As far as the cameraman is concerned, he said the only suitable place for the video is the police vault, and that's where it should stay. Though Steve Irwin lost his life in a tragic incident on the Great Barrier Reef, his legacy continues. His wife took over the operations of Australia's zoo to ensure that it was run without any interruption. His death led to a wave of grief not only in Australia, but across the world. Australian Prime Minister John Howard said in a statement that Australia had lost a wonderful and colourful son. Australia's zoo had a memorial on September 9, 2006 for Steve Irwin. His daughter Bindi pledged to continue her father's mission in a quivering voice. Steve's children, Bindi and Robert, have continued to promote their father's mission with their mother, Terry. Both of them have joined wildlife conservation. Furthermore, naturalists have named the species Crikey steveowini and asteroid 57567 Crikey after the legendary figure. Though he lost his life in a tragic accident, he's left a clear message for the public. As his legacy continues in the form of wildlife conservation and other programs, his mission is being accomplished. The wildlife legend was buried in a private ceremony, and the location of the burial site has also not been disclosed to the public. Thank you for watching our Steve Irwin video. Want to know more about tragic events, fatal incidents, and untimely deaths? Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to share your valuable feedback in the comment section.